Hey there! Welcome to your Morning Manna. I'm Anna, and some people refer to me as Manna as Anna, but they usually only make that mistake once. It's too early for jokes. Okay. Yesterday, we began looking at Romans chapter 5, verses 3 through 5, and the process that God uses to produce hope in our lives. Webster's dictionary says hope means to cherish a desire with anticipation. When we see hope in Scripture, it's referring to a confidence that something will happen. We need hope in our lives. So how do we get to the place of confidence? Romans outlines a process that God uses in our lives to establish confidence that God will do what He says He'll do. But what is that process? Let's look at it. Chapter 5, verses 3 through 5. We rejoice in our sufferings, knowing that suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character, and character produces hope, and hope does not put us to shame. Yesterday, we looked at endurance, the ability to withstand hardship. God uses pressure in our lives to develop our reliance on His strength so that we can endure hardship. Today, let's look at the next step in the process. Suffering produces endurance, and endurance produces character. Our character is made up of the attributes that we're known by, the things that people come to expect from you. That's your character. As followers of Jesus, we want to display the character of Christ. Well, what does that look like? Galatians 5:22 through 23 lists some of the character or attributes of Christ-like character. It says, but the fruit of the Spirit, the evidence of the Spirit of God dwelling in us, is love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness, and self-control. Let's just pick one of those for a moment and look at it. We're talking about suffering and endurance, so what character trait would fall in line with that? Maybe faithfulness, staying the course, finishing what you start, even when you're exhausted. There's a story in Judges that I came across recently. It's about a man named Gideon. The story is incredible. God uses 300 men to defeat a massive army by banging pots and pans around. That's a very abbreviated version, but you'll have to read it for yourself to get the full version. It's worth the read. During the battle, though, 2 kings escaped, and the army had been defeated, but the battle wasn't over. So Gideon and his army pressed on. And in chapter 8, verse 4, we come to this tiny little verse that seems inconsequential. It said, and Gideon came to the Jordan and crossed over. He and the 300 men were with him, exhausted yet pursuing. Exhausted yet pursuing. Gideon and his men were in the midst of battle. They had experienced some victory, but the fight wasn't over. They were exhausted, but they didn't give up. They pressed on to finish the task before them. This year has brought many unexpected challenges for us. It's been a year of pressing. But if we'll allow Him to, God will use this season to develop endurance in us and cultivate our character and ultimately produce hope. Maybe exhausted is a fitting description for the way that you feel right now. But let me encourage you again, don't give up. Allow God to cultivate His character in you through this season. Decide today that you're going to be faithful to keep going. Finish what you've started, even if you can't see the finish line from where you are. If you've got a few extra minutes in your day, look up the death crawl scene from the 2006 movie Facing the Giants. It's one of my favorite illustrations of perseverance and God coming alongside of us, kind of like a coach, encouraging us to keep going even when we feel like we can't. It encourages me every time I see it. I hope you'll check it out. I'll see you tomorrow morning right here as we conclude our study in Romans during Morning Manna.